This is the final word right here on Bloomberg TV India. A report by the Kelkar committee has stated that zero-coupon bonds could be exactly what infrastructure really needs to secure long-term financing for those projects. Now, with the government moving towards driving investment in infrastructure, the budget will contain a slew of measures to give a boost to the zero-coupon bond market. Let's get some specifics here and getting Gaurang Sinha, who's, of course, joining us with those details. Gaurang, this is, of course, a push to investing in infrastructure as a sector. Give us a sense as to how the financing aspect is going to get a boost from the budget.
Well, this ties in nicely with the government's push towards financing infrastructure projects, particularly in terms of some of the stalled projects that have been a pain point for the government. Now, with these zero-coupon bonds, the government is hoping to raise about 15 to 20,000 crore rupees in the borrowing calendar through these zero-coupon bonds with maturities of somewhere between 10 to 15 years. And this could be perhaps part of the government's strategy to really finance the mid-life cycle projects through these borrowings. Of course, the Kelkar committee, which had also recommended deepening and creating really a domestic zero-coupon bond market, in accordance with its recommendations, the government will also be perhaps taking some policy measures to make sure that there is a domestic market for those that's created as well. On the tax side as well, so far the status quo has been that there are two kinds of tax treatments for zero-coupon bonds, for notified and non-notified zero-coupon bonds. Now, what we're hearing from sources in the finance ministry that the government will rationalize that and essentially have all zero-coupon bonds treated as notified zero-coupon bonds, which will, of course, attract a long-term capital gains tax of just 10%. So these measures really put together will be perhaps part of the government strategy to push long-term infrastructure funding and really incentivize zero-coupon bonds. Back to you.
Gaurang, thanks for that. But staying with the budget, of course, realtors are seeking infrastructure status for housing, which would, of course, help developers to get bank loans at lower interest rates. Naveen Raheja, he's the chairman and managing director at the Raheja Group, also says that the government really should concentrate on affordable housing and provide a push for stalled projects in this upcoming budget. Here's more of that conversation with him.
Demanding infrastructure status to the real estate sector. Reason being that whether it is road building, whether it is water works, whether it is sewerage disposal works, whether it is electricity, power, all these sectors actually already get infrastructure status. And when they are combined together, it becomes a real estate sector. So real estate sector should also be given infrastructure status. It is actually servicing the masses only. And for making housing for all, this is absolutely important and imperative to give this status to the industry, number one. Number two, we are looking at creating if government can create a fund to ensure that the stalled projects which are stuck up due to cash flow mismatches, they are taken care of so that the customers are able to get their deliveries.
As far as taxation is concerned, sir, are there any SOPs that you're looking at to perhaps give residential real estate a boost, which has been slumping for a while now?
Apart from the infrastructure status, which will automatically have inbuilt a lot of tax concessions, we are looking at a revival of ATIB, so that the apartments which are for middle and lower middle segment, people in the metropolitan cities, in the urban areas, they can become incentivized for a developer to create housing stock.
All right, developers really closely watching to see what they get out of Budget 2016 as well. But on to more news that's coming in from the capital. The cabinet approving amendments to the power tariff policy. The power